Welcome back to Satisfactory, and last time we created a lot of new factories around the place, making some more advanced components, including our space elevator components, for us to finally get our tier 5 and tier 6 space elevator upgrades. And the new tier 5 and tier 6 upgrades are exactly what we're going to look into today, because we can now unlock our oil processing upgrade, which is going to give us access to our oil extractors and refineries, and is going to start letting us produce some of these new biochemical components. So we are going to start off by getting our oil processing upgrade, which is going to cost 50 motors, 100 encased industrial beams, 500 steel pipes, and 500 copper sheeting, which thanks to our efforts from last time, we already have factories making all of those components. So getting these upgrades shouldn't pose too much of a problem. Once the pod returns, I may consider getting the jump pads upgrade, seeing as its milestone cost isn't actually that much, as well as a hypertubes upgrade as well. Further tier 5 upgrades are going to require our new biochemical components such as plastic and rubber, so these upgrades will need to wait until we start manufacturing those components, which we hopefully will do today. And as much as I want the fuel generators to help us out with our power management issues, the milestone cost for it is well out of our means for now. But we do now have access to our oil extractors, and they are pretty simple to build, just some motors, encased industrial beams and cable. And similar story for our refineries, which will make these new components. Well, we can now scan for crude oil, so let's see how far away they are. Less than a kilometre away by the looks of it, and just over a kilometre away. So we actually do have a few pretty close by. Well, I'll wait another 3 minutes for our pod to return, and we'll get those upgrades. Then we'll head out and explore looking for them. Well, that's the pod returned, so we'll just send it away immediately to get our hypertubes upgrade. Well, I'm just going to head out and look for those oil nodes, and whenever I return, if I remember, I'll get those jump pad ones. And if I could find any hard drives out here for some more alternative blueprints, I would be more than happy with that, as well as some power slugs. Although these nasties are something that I really don't want to deal too much with. Well, we're actually pretty close to this node, and in fact, here it's right here. We have an impure one. Oh no, we actually have a few, and some big nasties here as well. Okay, right, I need to take the nasties out and then we can check their purity. Okay, that seems to be all of the nasties down. So what do we have? We have normal purity here, and another normal one right beside it, and just across the way, we have an impure one here too. So we've actually got 4 spots here, 2 impure and 2 normal, which should be more than enough for us to start making these components. So let's set this oil extractor down and see how much we can extract. Just from 100% clock speed, we can actually get out 120 cubic meters of oil, which I could turn into plastic with a heavy oil residue byproduct, or some rubber, and even some fuel with a polymer resin byproduct. And I just want to say as well that they have redesigned the refineries, and I really like how these are looking. So for us to make 20 plastic per minute, we're going to require 30 cubic meters of oil, which from the normal oil node there, we'll be able to take out 120, so we can just split that into 4 machines at 30 a pop, making 4 times plastic here. And it's just the exact same story for the rubber here as well. We could make 40 cubic meters of fuel per minute from 60 cubic meters of oil, which conveniently for us is exactly how much oil we can get out per minute from these impure nodes. So the 2 normal nodes will make our plastic and rubber, and the 2 impure nodes will make us our fuel. That sounds like a plan to me. So we now have a rather simple refinery plant set up here. And I have had to change just a few things for now. We still have 4 refineries making this plastic, so we'll still get 80 of it out per minute, as well as the 40 heavy oil residue. And same for the rubber, where we'll get out 80 per minute, as well as 80 heavy oil residue. Eventually, we'll be able to make fuel here as well. But at the moment, if we were to make fuel, it would only come out in liquid form. We can't yet package it, because I actually forgot that's another upgrade we will need to get first. So instead what I've done then is set up some further refineries, which will take out the heavy oil residue output and turn it into petroleum coke. And I have 3 of these refineries set up, all of them taking in their equal amount of heavy oil residue and producing us 120 petroleum coke each, which I don't actually require for now, so I'm just going to simply sink them. But this whole setup will still produce us 80 plastic every minute and 80 rubber every minute, at a power cost, including the awesome sinks, at nearly 500 megawatts. So if I could find a water source close by, I could set up another coal generating plant and maybe use the petroleum coke that comes out of this as fuel for it, rather than coal. That is, if we do actually have a water source nearby. So it looks as if I'm off exploring for a bit. There is a very shallow water source down here surrounded by our crabs, but I don't know if we can fit a water extractor inside that. The answer is sadly not, otherwise that would have been ideal. There is a swamp nearby, but I don't know if the water will be deep enough for a water extractor. But it would be rather handy if we could. And I see that we actually can place a water extractor down here, so this is going to be perfect. Well, I don't think we're actually in a swamp here, purely because we have these geysers, which I know we can use for geothermal power down the line. But in the meantime, I have set up a very quick coal power plant, so let's get some power into these refineries. And I'm not really sure if we can use the resulting petroleum coke from these refineries as a substitute for coal for those plants. But there's only really one way to find out. So this will be a line of 120 petroleum coke per minute, which will come down and be split amongst the 6 of these power generators here. So the only issue I have at the moment is just trying to power all of these things up to begin with, just to see if this will actually work. So I've disconnected half of the refineries here, and we only have the half that will be making our rubber for us, which in turn should make the petroleum coke. And I really feel that we've gone back to the basics with these biomass burners, but I'm hoping they will produce enough power just to get this whole system kicked off. Let's connect it and see what breaks. Actually, so far so good. We have a capacity of 180 megawatts and we're only using about 130 of that just now. So hopefully we will start producing some of these new items, which I can already see some of the heavy oil residue within this pipe, which does mean that we are slowly generating our petroleum coke here, which I can see is slowly coming down here towards the power generators. So if I can now get some power into this water extractor, we should start getting water into the pipes, into the coal generators, and then we can see if we can start generating some power, which we are actually. So these coal generators can use the petroleum coke. Brilliant. Although the next problem that I have is not having enough of these power shards, because I really need to overclock this water extractor just so that they get in enough water. So now is once again some more exploring for me, because I really need some more power shards. And look what I can see in the distance. We have another crash site with a hard drive and some nasties. Nasties first, hard drive second. Well, nasties down, so let's get this hard drive. Or maybe not. We're going to require some rubber for this. But soon, once we get our refineries up. Ooh, circuit boards. And that may be a yellow power slug in the distance, or it may just be a trick of the light, but we'll go up to it anyway. It is a yellow one surrounded by a lot of nasties and poisonous things. That would be really handy to get though. Well, we'll heal up, quickly grab this, and just get out of here before we die. That actually wasn't too bad. But at least now with these power shards, we can overclock our water extractor to 250, and we should get enough water into the system so that our power doesn't go off. Actually, that's just because it's connected to this one biomass burner. If I connect it up here, the power should still go off. Good stuff. So long story short, the power is now back on. I did notice one thing though. Although the coal generators are able to use the petroleum coke as fuel, they actually take it in at a rate of 25 per minute rather than 15 like coal. So I've had to merge 2 of the petroleum coke lines just into one to send it over there, so we should have more than sufficient amount of petroleum coke going to feed those, and the rest will just go over to our awesome sink. And reluctantly, I did have to connect a power line up to our main power grid just to supply this whole system with enough power, but it was definitely worth it because all of our refineries are now operating here and we should be getting out plastic and rubber. I'd say that's plenty of plastic being made, and we're slowly starting to stockpile a nice amount of the rubber as well. Well, now that we have the rubber, let's go and lock this hard drive. Just 10 rubber required for this, so we'll open the door and we'll take out our nice hard drive, and then we'll just place it straight into this MAM. So in 10 minutes time, we'll find out what new alternative blueprint we've got. And whilst I do have the MAM open, I really should look into these Caterium ingots. I'm pretty sure there's a node close by. There's one about a kilometre away, but that's a bit closer to the main factory, so I'll go to that once we start heading back. And whilst we're out here, we may as well scan for ports as well, but sadly that's well over a kilometre away in a completely opposite direction. Maybe another time. Well, I'm going to grab some of this plastic and we'll get some rubber as well, and then we'll head back to the main factory and see what other upgrades we can get. Right after we get this Caterium ore, which conveniently is on top of this big rock. Although it is a pure node though, so that kind of makes up for it. Well, I'll just mine it from above and store it inside here just now until we can get the smelter actually making the Caterium bars for us. While looking at our tier 5 upgrades, I'd say that we can pretty easily get this industrial manufacturing one, and I know that these manufacturers that come with it are going to draw some amount of power. but they're definitely worth it. And we can also get ourselves a truck. Yeah, let's get ourselves an upgraded tractor. That sounds like a great idea. The alternative fluid transport upgrade though is something that we definitely should get next, because here's the packaged fuel that I was talking about. The milestone cost for it is pretty simple as well. Motors, plastics and wire. The heavy modular frames here are the only component that are pretty difficult to do because we will need a manufacturer in order to make them. The gas mask upgrade could be helpful. I don't really need a gas mask at the moment, but the extra inventory slots are tempting. The expanded power infrastructure upgrade is something that I'm desperate to get, because with the fuel generators I'm really hoping they're going to help with our power management issues, and upgrading our conveyor belts to Mark IV will mean that we can almost double the amount of components being transported on them every minute. But the milestone cost for it is very expensive. Heavy modular frames again, and computers, which are a nightmare to make. And if I do get the alternative fluid upgrade and can package my own fuel, I would definitely love to get myself a jetpack. I'm always a fan of trains in this as well because I think they're a lot more useful than the trucks certainly, so we can get these with the monorail train technology upgrade. Same story whenever it comes to the milestone costs, because we do have computers here. And I'm not sure if the Pipeline Engineering Mark II is a new piece of content with update 4, but this will unlock our Pipelines Mark II and Pumps Mark II as well, which basically means we'll be able to transport up to double the amount of fluids that we currently can. Well, I'm thinking we'll definitely get the industrial manufacturing upgrade, because with the manufacturers we will start being able to produce these computers as well as the heavy modular frames. So let's just do that actually, and we'll get the industrial manufacturing upgrade. And let's check on our hard drive as well, which gives us some alternative blueprints for steel ingots, modular frames and versatile frameworks. And I think I'll go for the solid steel ingot one, because it's always nice to have an alternative whenever we are making the steel ingots. And whilst we have the MAM open, we will stick our Caterium in so that we can start smelting these down into bars. And we can now make quick wire at a cost of 50 of the bars and get ourselves 6 more inventory slots from only 10 of the bars. Well, I'm just going to stick the remainder of the Caterium ore into the smelter and let's hook them up so that we can quickly get those upgrades. And whilst I do have the MAM open here, I do have some more quartz, so let's put that in and research it as well. So we can now make the quartz crystal, which we'll use for our lighting source, as well as making these crystal oscillators. And just purely because I do have the ore spare, we'll also unlock the silica component as well. And I'm on a roll with this, so let's research some mycelia, and if I had an additional paleberry I would be able to get the medical properties upgrade, and if I had some biomass we would be able to unlock the fabric material, which would mean I would be able to get the gas mask upgrade. Well, I will go do a bit of deforestation for some biomass, but first we'll do the Caterium one for inflated pocket dimensions. And just good timing because there's the pod returning. Well, there's the inflated pocket dimension upgrade done, so we've got some bigger pockets. That's what I just said. And I've collected enough biomass now, so let's get the fabric component. And we have 56 of the 50 Caterium ingots required for the quick wire, so let's get that upgrade too. And we can unlock Caterium electronics for 100 quick wire, as well as a zipline. Right, okay. Ziplines sound pretty fun. Well, before we do ziplines, I've got some alien carapaces that we can research, as well as some alien organs. And those researches basically just mean that we can turn the alien organism parts into biomass. Although further down the tree there's a couple of new unlocks. We've got the rebarred gun, as well as some ammo for it. Another expanded tool belt is incredibly helpful. I will go get myself some wire for that one. And again, another additional 6 inventory slots, just some more wire. I'll definitely get the 2 of those. And the middle one is an object scanner improvement, which is going to require those crystal oscillators and an object scanner itself. And we can eventually unlock the medicinal inhaler as well. The flower petals research basically just unlocks our colour gun and some paint cartridges for us as well, should we want to colour in our factories, which I may do at some point. And I'm pretty sure just scanning all of the nutrients here will eventually lead us down to another inhaler. But we're next going to get ourselves some more pocket slots, and I'm going to turn some of our alien organs into some biomass, and then into some fabric. So that's then all of the components for the gas mask. So let's send that off and get the upgrade. And I'll be able to make the gas mask with 100 rubber, 100 plastic, and 100 of these fabric materials. And the filters that go alongside them using coal, rubber, and some more fabric. But I probably will make some factories up for that, seeing as I am lazy. And whilst we're on a roll with all of these upgrades, I've made a little factory here for our Caterium ore that should be making our quick wire for us. So we already have 360 of it, which once the MAM's finished the current research, we'll be able to go for the Caterium electronics upgrade. And of course, our zip lines. So that's the Caterium electronics now unlocked. And here's the Power Poles Mark II building that I'm desperate to get because I'm sick of only having 4 connections per power pole. And it only 300 quick wire, we'll definitely be able to get that shortly. AI limiters are always fun, but I don't yet have a use for them. The blade runners are something that I'm definitely going to get next, because I'm fed up running around so slowly as well. I think the power switch is a new one, which should help us with power management, and I actually see it uses the AI limiters inside those, so okay, there is going to be a use for it. As well as our smart splitters. Okay, there's actually going to be quite a lot of use for the AI limiters. So whilst I'm waiting and I'm finishing those researches, I would like to make one of these manufacturers to start making these new components. But we're going to need 10 of these heavy modular frames first, which unfortunately will take quite a lot of different materials into account, seeing as we're going to require modular frames, steel pipes, encased industrial beams, and screws. So that's a mixture of iron, steel, and concrete that we'll need for these. For the computers, we're going to require circuit boards, cable, plastic, and also some screws to make, with the circuit boards being the most difficult component there, but we can make the circuit boards using copper sheeting and plastic. And ideally, as we're already producing most of the components required for the computers and heavy modular frames over in our new factory there, I'm going to need to figure out a way how to bring the rubber and plastic over. I mean, we did just unlock some trucks, I could use those, although it's very much just a catch-22 scenario, because I'm still going to need computers and heavy modular frames in order to make one. But our MAM is done, so we now have access to our zip lines, which I'll be able to make inside a workshop, just after I make a xenozapper first. So we now have a zip line, which I think we can use to traverse over power cables actually. Well, maybe not bump into them all, but it could be an okay way to get around. Maybe. Actually, yes, this is going to be incredibly handy. We can go uphill as well as downhill. Well, that was a lot of unlocks that we just got there, but I think our first priority should be trying to make one of these manufacturers, just so that they can start making these components for us. So I'm just going to quickly put on some more Caterium upgrades and start creating some of these heavy modular frames by hand, just to make exactly enough components to make one of these manufacturers, which is going to give us another 6 parts to play with. And actually, just looking at our space elevator components here, I've not actually yet looked into what we require for tier 7 and tier 8. We're going to need 2,500 versatile frameworks, 500 of these modular engines, and 100 of these adaptive control units. So I should probably stop manufacturing these smart platings for now then, and stop sinking the versatile frameworks. But that's a while away yet. We've got enough on our plate for today, so we can make a whopping 2 heavy modular frames every minute, from 10 modular frames per minute, 30 steel pipes a minute, 10 encased industrial beams per minute, and 200 screws per minute. We currently have 5 assembler machines here, all making modular frames for us, at a rate of 2 per minute. So we've got 10 modular frames being made every minute, so that's definitely ticked that component off. We have 3 constructors making steel pipes for us, at a rate of 20 per minute, so we're getting 60 of them out. And currently the 60 of them are coming into these 3 assembler machines here to make our stators, at a rate of 15 per machine, or 45 in total. So we really only have 15 to spare out of the 30 that we require. But looking at the jam up line that we already have going into our stators, I reckon we'll definitely be able to take out just more than 15. And the build up of steel pipes and wire are purely because we've got too many stators being made at the moment coming into this machine to make motors. And I believe it's just the long travel time of the rotors here which are kind of causing an issue with things. Maybe faster belts will fix that, but this is why we've got such a build up there. We need 10 encased industrial beams every minute, and if we come into this assembler here, we are currently producing 6. Yes, I was able to bump that back up from the 3, because we have got plenty of steel beams coming in, and plenty of concrete coming in as well, which is purely because we had a big build up of our steel beams, just because we've had these machines running for so long, but the supply of them is slowly starting to drain out. So I still need to be careful of how many encased industrial beams we can use, but I think we should be okay for now. I actually think the screws may be the hold up in this whole production here, because of the 600 that we are producing, they are still coming out onto the conveyor belts and going into other assembler machines and being used pretty quickly. Although because of my laziness from last time, we actually have too many iron rods being produced. So this whole storage here is full of them, which is backing up the system entirely. So all of the machines are getting way too many iron rods at the moment. So what I could do then is just take some of them out and produce more screws with those, because I believe we're getting 50 out per minute on this spare line, and I can potentially take the 50 iron rods and create another 5 times 40 screws with them and produce another 200 screws in total, which once I check back at the screw requirement, would just work out to be absolutely perfect. So it is a nowhere near perfect, but at least we will now start creating these heavy modular frames. And that is one part of the puzzle in order to make these trucks to transport the plastic and rubber materials. The second part is making these computers, which I'll work out how to do after we get some more Caterium upgrades. Man, it's so much faster to move off these Blade Runners on. Anyway, onto the headache that is computers. So we'll be able to make 2.5 computers every minute from 25 circuit boards, 22.5 cable, 45 plastic, and 130 screws. Why is it always the screws? Well, we're currently creating 80 plastic every minute, so that won't be too much of an issue. Screws I'm completely tapped out on, so I'm going to need to find myself another iron ore node for that. The cable is a bit annoying, but I did make a factory up making some spare cable the other day, so hopefully that will take care of that. 25 circuit boards every minute. That's definitely the issue. We can make the circuit boards in an assembler at a rate of 7.5 every minute from 15 copper sheeting and 30 plastic. Well, the more I'm thinking about this now, the more that I'm coming to the realisation that we might be better off producing the computers over at the plastic rather than bringing it here. Because if I could find an iron ore node as well as a copper node, then I will be able to make the cable, screws and circuit boards over there, which then would mean that we could have the truck taking plastic, rubber and computers back for us. Right then, let's head straight back out there and see. So we have an iron ore deposit just 200 meters away, and it's actually of pure quality. That's rather excellent. In fact, we have 2 over here, so that's even more than we'll require. Oh god, nasty. Well, if we have a copper ore nearby, that would be even handier. We do, just over the hill there. Just a normal purity one, which is absolutely fine. That's not fine, but this whole setup here will definitely work. Right, perfect. Let's make some computers. So a short while later, that's our computer factory now up and operational. Let me take you through it. We're able to manufacture our computers at a rate of 2.5 every minute, but that's going to require 25 circuit boards per minute, which these 4 assembler machines here are creating for us. Each of the assembler machines are making 7.5 circuit boards every minute, so with the 4 of them, that's 30 that we're getting out. 25 are split off and sent into the manufacturer for the computers, and the remainder 5 are just put into storage for us. The circuit boards are taking 15 copper sheets per minute. With the 4 of them up and running, that's 60 sheets required to be made per minute, which are just being produced downstairs in these constructors here. And to make the 60 copper sheets per minute, we require 6 constructors, making them at a rate of 10 per minute, meaning that we have 6 times 20 copper ingots required for 120 copper ingots in total, which we're just simply getting out from these smelters behind. For the circuit boards, we also require 30 plastic every minute, which with the 4 assembler machines, that's 120 plastic every minute, plus an additional 45 plastic per minute with the manufacturer to make the computers, meaning that's 165 plastic per minute we require, which I've had to change our refinery setup just to accommodate, so instead of us making plastic and rubber here, we're only making plastic, with both sets of refineries making 80 plastic every minute for a total of 160 plastic per minute here. And because our manufacturer has been awkward in asking for 45 plastic every minute, it's actually technically losing out on 5 plastic. But we've got quite a build-up of plastic anyway, so that doesn't really matter too much. We require 22.5 cable every minute for the computers, which is just nice and simple to create in a constructor below. And the final component for our computers are our screws at 130 every minute, which are just simply being manufactured across the way there. We have 4 constructors making 40 screws every minute, so we're actually getting out 160 of them, but I'm able to split that down into 130, and the remainder of them just simply come down and go into an awesome sink, alongside some other components just to make the numbers work. But all in all, we are starting to manufacture our computers, granted at a slow rate, but soon we will have a nice stockpile of them inside here. But we have enough of them for now to put down this truck and attempt to use it to transport these items back to the main factory. So as long as the truck can take petroleum coke as a fuel source, which I think it might do, we'll get into it and do a test run over to the main factory. Well, here's hoping this one goes a lot better than driving the tractor. But I have prepared a little bit in advance, so we do have some foundations down and another truck station. I just need to angle this a bit carefully. And hopefully we'll get through here without too much issue, which, yep, I'll take that. Right, let's head towards the main factory. And here's the truck station, which we have overshot, but we'll reverse just a bit. This is going to be horrible in the recordings, and we'll take off again. Yep. This one's going to go just as smoothly as the tractor, I feel. And here we're coming up to this gap again, which, oh, I didn't realise that was such a high jump. That could be interesting, but hopefully we'll make it over this okay. Oh, beautiful. Such skill. Let's hit the whale thing as well for bonus points. Perfect. Right, here's the other truck station that we are slowly coming towards, and hopefully we'll just stop about here. Okay, perfect. Let's end the recording on this one, and I've got no idea what the hell's going to happen with this one, but we've now got a truck station and something set up. So I'm going to take this conveyor belt of petroleum coke away from our awesome sink and instead take it over to the new tractor station. And this is purely just for fuel, so I don't mind it being built up inside the station here. And whilst I was pissing about with the truck there, I did see we had another upgrade finish for our smart splitters, which if I had some AI limiters, I could now start making. Actually, I'm just going to make one for now, because I get the feeling they could be quite handy here, as I'll be able to specify any overflow of petroleum coke going into the truck station, just instead to maybe head out and into an awesome sink I put behind this, which hopefully will then mean that our refineries will keep operating even whenever this thing is full. But the final step is just taking a conveyor belt of our computers over to the truck station. And here they all come, so they'll just go straight inside our truck station, and then we'll set the truck to head off. Well, the truck has actually just left without some computers, which really isn't the best start. And I don't remember programming it to do that, but we've got some computers behind us there, and why am I bothering? I should just be using conveyor belts. It's already gotten stuck. Well, maybe if it stops flipping about like mad over there, eventually I may come back to this truck station and grab some computers. Maybe eventually. I think it's now stuck on its head. You know what? This is pretty symbolic of my playthroughs. Let it be known that I did try with the trucks. I'm just going to take this back by hand. What a waste of time. And this is interesting. There is a truck here. There has certainly only been one truck made. Okay. I don't know what the hell's going on today, but okay. Well, that one there is kind of stopping at the truck station. I'm very tempted to follow it back and just see what the hell is going on here. Although, I don't actually know if it is going to head back or if we're just going to do some nice zigzags. Right, before we look into any more upgrades, I need to follow this thing back and see what the hell's going on. It makes it over that jump superbly, I would say. And it's back onto the flat. Oh, is it going to hit the whale for bonus points? Go on, son. Ah, could have been bonus points. Well, the previous one is now unstuck here, so I wonder if that was maybe just a visual glitch? I'm really not sure what's happening. But the truck does seem to be back at the station now, stopping and maybe being loaded with some computers. It's got 7 of them inside it, but then again we are producing them very slowly. So we'll see how you do this time. That's a lot smoother on exit. Okay, maybe the truck is actually going to be fine. I just have no idea what was going on that first time around. I give up. I totally give up. Well, after we put in these heavy modular frames, that's us then got all of our components for our alternative fluid transport upgrade. So let's get that. And that has unlocked a new building for us, the Packager, which I believe is a brand new building for update 4. And we'll look into that building, as well as making some fuel next time, because we have certainly made some advancements today. Quite a lot of new upgrades, which is rather nice. And with them, I can only see things getting much more smoother from here on out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.